Present.
Mr. Girl and myself.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for Miss Red and Mr.
I'm
DeSoni.
present. I'm here.
That is here. Okay. All right. So now we're basically Mr. DeSoni and he's having problems. Okay. We got the roll call. There's no minutes. Is anybody from the public? I don't see anybody. Let's see. Jaime, you want to start out with finance?
Yeah, there's let's see here. There's a couple things that we're gonna vote on. One of the first ones is a $45,000 advance to the mental health board. Pretty standard. They're asking to go out and get a $45,000 loan. We decided to kind of give them the through host fees funds to support them with the advance, and that all it is anticipation. They won't get their tax receipts until October 1st, so they can't really do much without it. So that's why they're seeking that $45,000 to get started. There's a couple questions about Regional Plan 1. They're providing a lot of the services for them and congruent with that 45K. So there was just a couple questions of why Regional Plan was the only one, and et cetera, et cetera. But ultimately, they partnered with them to provide some of the support for that. So it was a good discussion, good debate. I think a lot of people get hung up why an RFP wasn't done, conducted, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end, it's essentially they tailored to someone to provide the services for them from the administration point of view. And they decided to go with Regional Plan. So that's that one. I don't know if anybody has any questions regarding that.
Yes, I do.
Angie?
Isn't that to be paid back to us?
Yes. Yeah, it's an
needed?
advance. It's an advance. And so once October 1st, they get their sales receipts, they will reimburse us for that 45. It's just an advance at this point in time. So they can get started.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Bert?
Yep. Thank you, Joe. I just want to point out that this is an intergovernmental agreement, so there's no need for an RFP. There's no need for one. So that's why there wasn't an RFP. Plus, R1 is probably the cheapest way they can go about it. And plus, the county kind of owns R1. So we're really, we're paying ourselves to do work. So in a sense that we're getting a good value for our dollar.
Yep.
Thank you for that information.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, we move on to zoning. Mr. Fellers, you want to take that one?
Oh, there's still
No zoning matters.
There's still a couple items.
You got more. Oh, I'm sorry, Amy. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yep. The other one is just a lease agreement with GovTemp for our interim county administrator to extend to October 2nd. So it's pretty much, where it's just extending Mr. Chapman's, last day essentially with a 2-week notice in case we wanted to obviously terminate his contract on that piece of it. So just extending it to October 2nd on that. There's another resolution authorizing the increase of the Winnebago County Public Defender. This is kind of like based on state statute, based on the Supreme Court. We get a percentage reimbursed from the state, and then I can't remember the percentage, but by law, I guess if the state's attorney has an increase in salary, then obviously the public defender, 97% of the salary of the state's attorney will be the public defender. So that's why it's requesting a resolution authorizing that increase from that perspective. The other item is a consideration for the $400,000 debt certificate for the technology equipment for, with the firewalls and stuff like that. This is just saying we're going to meet this Thursday regarding this. we'll have more discussion about this prior to the Winnebago County Board to essentially go with Stillman Bank. The percentage will be presented. I think it's very minimal, which is really good, but it's just, this already had been passed, but now it's just finally doing the financing with a bank institution. So that's part of it. And then there's a budget amendment 2020-021 to Health Department to be laid over. And that's pretty much it for the finance.
All righty, any questions? All right, now we're on to zoning. Who wants to
There
take it?
are no new zoning matters.
None, okay. Economic development,
Nothing, no agenda or no report.
No report.
public works,
No report there either.
why are we here?
Now, you got two things in public works.
Public safety,
Hold on. You got two things in
Hold
public
on.
works,
Yep.
guys.
I'm sorry. I wasn't
Okay.
all the way down.
Gosh darn, Bert, if you're gonna be chairman, you gotta do better than this.
I forgot to move the mouse down. I was just looking. Oh no. Sorry. Yeah, there's a resolution for Perryville Road that we're just going to be doing some Band-Aids out there. Basically, we're going to be replacing some joints out there. It's falling apart basically from Harrison to East State. So it's about $235,000. This should carry us for a few more years out there until we have to think about doing some replacements, but you're talking tens of millions for that.
Can we just give it to Cherryvale? Right?
Wouldn't that be great?
Just give them, like, let's just give them that road. It's their road now.
Right. We
They
built that.
benefit
That road was built in 1974 for the mall. So it's almost 50 years old. So our next one is we are another resolution. We're going to resurface Montague Road from Kennedy Hill to Meridian. And we went out for bid on that, I believe, last week. So we should know where that's going to be. So that's the cost is to be determined. But right now we're coming in with some good prices for paving. So resurfacing too. So that's it for public safety or public works.
any questions? All right, we can move on now, right? Public safety,
Public safety has two resolutions. The first is finally authorizing the execution of the police services agreement between Winnebago County and the Village of McChesney Park. It did not pass out of committee unanimously because some people didn't have enough time to read it. But it's basically the same as it's always been, only they are paying for actual costs, not estimated costs. Yeah, so we invoice them quarterly for our actual costs on the variable items rather than because I think last year we took last contract, we took a $200,000 loss in the contract. The second resolution is approving the intergovernmental agreement for the Harlem Consolidated School Resource Officer Program, so SRO program in Harlem. I was the only one that voted against that in committee, and I will continue to vote against it on the board floor, as I don't believe that SROs are an appropriate way to handle discipline within our school system, as they generally affect minority youth and students more so than white ones.
any questions? All right. P&P committee,
Okay, the P&P committee, we have one resolution and I was talking about Patrick Thompson. He's coming on board and that's what we talked about for him.
Well, they have the contract now, don't they?
Right.
They have signed it?
You said that they signed.
Yeah, they've signed it. And you should be getting this in your email so that you can go through it. I was hoping we'd have it earlier today so that if we had any questions, tomorrow night I think we're going to have it for the B&P committee. But to go through and see if there's anything that you would question, want changed on that agreement.
Now, I can't remember if someone told me, but don't quote me on this. He's coming to us for the same dollar amount that he's making where he is now. And
Yeah.
he wants a car included.
Yes, I believe that's. I just this thing. and will receive a automobile allowance of
Right.
$200 a month.
$200 a month, exactly.
And moving expenses.
And moving expenses.
Yep.
Okay.
Up not to exceed $15,000 relocation. Moving expenses. 15,000, not to exceed $15,000. That's a
Okay.
part of the contract that I believe they sent out the email earlier, the resolution. It doesn't have the dollar amount. I didn't see a dollar amount on it, but I did see that the $200 stipend for vehicle maintenance, essentially for transportation, and then the $15,000 moving expenses. There's
First, look at the first page, last paragraph. Employer agrees to pay employee for his services, and under the agreement, an annual salary of $170,000 a year,
There you
payable
go.
on a regular basis,
there
within
you go.
payroll procedures and subjects to all appropriate federal and any other withholding.
And 15 days vacation.
Yep. So review it. It came through, I think it was today, earlier in the day. And then I believe it's 3 weeks of vacation, 15 days, I want to say, of vacation.
Correct.
Just say that.
Yep. So
Only a 2-year contract, is that correct?
what's that?
It's only a 2-year contract?
That is correct. Renewable, obviously.
You know, if you were on the committee, Dorothy, you might remember, and Joe might remember, that we talked about this because actually, if I remember correctly, the chairman's the one who kind of helps us pick out the administrator. In this way, if the new chairman doesn't agree with what this administrator is doing, or they don't agree at all, this gives them an option 2 years to do what they want to do then.
That's true. Yeah, we did talk about that.
Yeah, we did talk about that. Because of the entanglement that we had to do something. And this doesn't obligate us to 4 years with a new chairman. So this gives this person we're hiring a chance, and the chairman, if they don't get along, why are we going to keep paying out money and end up with the same situation we have right now?
I mean, when they get along, Angie. Positive thinking.
I agree with you, Joe. You're absolutely.
Positive thinking.
I'm looking for a whole new air.
If guys, if history is any indication here, they're not going to last 1.5 years anyway.
Oh, wow.
Let me pull this shit down on Mr. Feller.
We go through administrators like Spinal Tap goes through drummers.
Dan, Dan, one of the things I asked of this gentleman, why would he come here with all the problems that we have with our our administration right now? The county's in debt. Why would he come here? And he looked at me and he says, because I like a challenge.
Yeah, and he lives in Wisconsin. So.
Yeah, well, that's okay. And half of you are Badger fans. Half of you are what's the other team's name? The Bears.
Only person. Well, Bert's 50-50.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's what I can just see glancing over it is pretty much what we asked, and I'm assuming that our state's attorney was present when this was being presented and negotiated, and that's why it's written the way it is, the way it's supposed to be written.
Yeah, I talked to Steve earlier in the week, and overall, I'm pretty satisfied with the contract based on the level of his skill.
Right.
So at least perceived skill. Yes, Bert.
Joe, I just got a question for Gus Gettner if he's on. I just got a text from Chris Green of the paper, and he can't seem to find our caucus meeting online. So I was wondering if Gus was on there and he can explain if we were just going after the Republican caucus, if that would be aired that way, or I see he's on there, but he's muted, but I don't know if he's doing both.
Gus, can you hear us?
He told me that something had crashed. So that's probably why Chris cannot find him. He had to resend out. Angie, what did you tell me?
It had to be changed. It wasn't. In fact, I called several of you to tell you that a new entrance into our Zoom. Gus had to send it to us, and so I had to go back because I couldn't get in on it either. Then all of a sudden, Gus called me and said to go back to your email. There's a new one. The other thing you can tell Chris Green too, that he can go online and it can be online with Winnebago County.
Yeah,
And
we're not broadcasting on the YouTube channel. Someone else is they probably got the Republicans on there.
Yeah, that's where he's at. He's looking on the YouTube, so he's not finding ours. So I just told him we'll probably be up after the Republican.
Very
caucus. Good. Okay, that was all.
All right. Anything left for the P&P committee?
Not that I know of at this time. I don't. I'm fine.
No, that's it.
Do you have, Dorothy?
That's it.
I did it.
I'm looking at our agenda for Thursday night,
Sure.
and if I'm seeing on this, do I understand that we're under unfinished business, that the chairman is going to bring back the board appointed that we tabled, the appointees that we tabled?
The chairman can't bring them back. The only way they come back is if someone makes a motion to take them off the table and they get 10 votes.
Well, he's got it on there as unfinished business.
Well, it has to be more than 10 votes because there's 20 people on the board.
Well, yeah,
It has to be a majority. I talked to Dave.
the chairman would break the tie. If there's 10 votes, the chairman would break the tie, and he wants them off the table. So it's 10 votes.
All right, because I just wanted to, on Thursday night, I don't want us all sitting out there with our mouths open. He brings us forward.
We will be in.
Seeing yesterday's our opinion from the Register Star, I'm tired of them saying that we're just a bunch of idiots. They have the whole thing, the whole message is wrong that they produced yesterday, and that on their view of what was going on. And I'm to a point right now, I wish perhaps as a team we'd get together and write something to the newspaper telling them what they said about us is really truly wrong. That whole thing was wrong yesterday because we aren't the ones that started all this. The chairman did, and not he was supposed to begin with. And then we're finding out little by little, which doesn't have to go further, that perhaps not all of the people that were nominated, the nominees, should really be on any of the boards. So you don't want to air that. How do you handle it? We didn't have time to look at any of this, do any of it, and yet I saw him on TV that day announcing the appointment of all four, and all four of them were there, and they all put up their thumbs. They were so proud, and he actually made a mockery out of us. And I just feel so bad that he went and did that. But how do we handle it? Just ignore it again?
No, it comes off the table. You vote it down.
Well,
No. It stays. It goes away right now. It does not come back unless someone brings it back.
I know. I talked to Dave about that.
I see you, Tim. I'll get you. All right. You guys done? No? Tim, you want to say something? You're muted.
So my point of view, no matter how you feel about how, Frank set us up, this all stems from all our drama from the airport appointment and everything that went down there. And now we're setting a corner to where either way you look at it, we have to prove to the community that we're willing to promote the diversity that the community wants, especially after the argument and the discourse that we had with the airport board and the airport appointment. The last airport appointment with what's his name?
Mike Slivovsky.
Yeah, with him. And we've been going back and forth through this all the time with him and his last airport board, and we're just giving into what's basically, if you say Frank set us up, we're just giving into that setup by having this debate and this discourse over these 4 new appointments. And we're just proving his point even further by causing more confusion if you go ahead and vote this down and just keep it tabled. And no matter what we think, the public, we got so many letters and the public is entitled to his opinion. And that's what they're going to continue to think about the county board, because we're going to go ahead and table this action and get away with the minority appointments that was appointed. So the community is looking at this, looking at Frank's action as something positive, but the discourse and the separation of the county board makes it look like the county board is negative and against the minority inclusion. And so if we continue to go this route, we're going to continue to look bad in front of the public. And you say that the people aren't qualified. I want to know, why do you believe that? And, just say, what makes Rhonda not qualified to be on the housing authority board when, what made Fred Westcott qualified to be on there? What housing authority experience did he have before he got on the board? What makes his resume any different than hers? Oh, as far as housing experience.
I
When
think
we
we
talk,
press conference.
Hold on, people.
I mean, I understand we don't like the way it was set up, but we've been put in this situation. Now we're gonna handle this situation with the way that's disgruntled and negative in the eyes of the public. So do you want to continue to handle this negatively in the eyes of the public, or do you want to go ahead and just bite this? He didn't handle it right, having a press conference beforehand. And so you feel like we were set up. We were set up. But you can't just turn around and just be negative to the whole situation. Go ahead.
Thanks, Tim. I just want to say a couple of things. I'm not against the stuff you're saying, but I just want to remind you, when you were put on the mental health board, we voted unanimously for you. And when the state's attorney's issue came up, we voted unanimously for the state's attorney. And Mr. Haney put another name up in front of us. That wasn't who we picked. We also were the ones that hired Tiana. So before we get into this, what we didn't do, let me tell you what we did do and who fought us every step of the way. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying there's other history that you're not talking about. And just so everybody knows, I have been talking to several other of the caucus members, working on some plans that I will include. If we get something going, I will include everybody in on it. And of course, everybody has the right to vote the way they want to vote. So just so you know, we are working on some things. And whether everybody agrees or not, I guess we'll find out. But just so no, we're not just sitting back. Go ahead, Bert.
Thanks, Joe. Also, Joe, we have to think that we also put the first Hispanic male as finance chair. So we have taken many steps that the Democrats hadn't had in years and years and years. And if we would have still stuck in the minority and stuck along with the majority, we wouldn't have the folks that we have now. So with working with the Republicans, we've improved so much as far as inclusion goes in the county board. So to say that this county board is just, one-sided is wrong. We need to do better. Absolutely. I agree with what Tim said. My hope, and, maybe just to bring this out and have you guys think about it is what if we bring back or talk to Mr. Haney, because it's really up to him. I'd say we leave the 4 appointments as they is tabled, and we make the recommendation to Mr. Haney to bring back 2 appointments, and one would be Cesar Sanchez to the Community Action Agency. The second one would be to move Rhonda Greer Robinson from Housing Authority and put her on the Crime Commission. I think that makes more sense. You know, if you're talking about the national argument and what is going on with the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, it's about police brutality, reforming police. I think it would make more sense to have the NAAC president appointed to the Crime Commission versus the Housing Commission. How much good can she do over there? We already have 4 minorities that sit on that Housing Authority board, and they have gotten national accolades. They have gotten regional accolades. We have modeled other housing authorities off of our housing authority. So we are doing a good job out there. It's not like Alan Zeitz called Chairman Haney and told him this isn't working, we need to get rid of Westcott, because it has been working. We can show that with the accolades that they have received. Not to say that Fred has outserved his time on there. I think Fred should man up, and once he's done with these projects that he so wants to see done, step away and let someone else have that position. But my suggestion is to bring back 2 of these folks, and then we work on the other 2 when the new chairman is seated. And then we can have this discussion about what the other boards' makeup look like, because I'll be looking into getting all that information. Every appointment that the chairman appoints, I'm going to find out who they are, what they look like, how long they've been on there, and who appointed them and how long they've served. So when I hopefully become chairman, we can look at all these boards and start diversifying on day 1, not day 1400 and something like our chairman is doing now. So something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, other than, sorry, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I mean, we can take any of these off the table. We can't change the appointments, right? So if we wanted to make an action happen, we don't have to take all 4 of them off the table. We can take any one off the table that we want, right? So, for example, Bert, you said, I think Caesar, right? Look, I mean, if you look at the way the last vote went, if the 7 of us vote to take one of these people off the table and push them, you know, and push them through, there are at least 3 other votes in the Republican caucus that would vote for them. The 7 of us just have to operate as one voice, which we are usually very good at doing. Usually.
Yeah, I agree, Dan. With exception of you most of the time, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm here to be a thorn in your side, Joe. That's my job.
Dan, that was just a joke. Some levity.
I'm not joking.
I wasn't either. Anyway, that's just one idea. Hold on a second. I was going to say, that's one idea that I talked to Bert about, and Bert's working on it. We went and talked to some people. So we're thinking about that. Nothing's written in stone. We're just trying to make a situation better than it appears right now. I'm going to go with Mr. Neighbors first. I think his hand was up. And then who was second after that? Bert again?
Mrs. Red's been waiting.
Miss Red, Mrs. Red, you go ahead then, Tim. Dorothy? Dorothy, can you hear me? Tim, go ahead.
I just wanted to say this. I'm gonna say the same thing at the county board meeting on Thursday. And, you know, I already said it to Joe. I just want to clear something up. I never said that anyone on the board was racist. I never want anybody on the board to feel like you're racist, because I don't believe that. I don't believe we have racist people on the county board. Now, we do have a few board members that have a couple of questionable Facebook posts, and, you know, I'll leave it at that. You know, I haven't had anything proven to me yet, but I just wanted to open eyes of my board members on how the situation looked at the moment, with everything that had transpired very recently up until what was going on now. And I just wanted everybody to know that that's what it looked like, that's what it sounded like. And if anybody think that I feel like they're racist, I hope that you don't feel like that, because I don't believe it.
Thanks, Tim.
Tim, I'm going to be upfront because I'm going to say this. I don't think you thought we were racist, and I don't think that's what you're trying to imply. But some of the comments you made did kind of hurt a little bit. And I know that sometimes it has to hurt. So we took steps. We're trying to work on it. Now my phone's ringing. So we tried to work on it, and this isn't being done flippantly. This is being done carefully, and we're trying the best to put our best foot forward and get the best people on the boards that need to be on, and not, this is the one thing I resent about what Chairman Haney did. He just grabbed a handful of people and put them places. And me, when I hired people at the county, I would interview them, I would see what their assets were and determine where they best fit. I didn't see that happen in this process. And I didn't hear him say it happened in this process. So that's what we're looking at now. That's what Bert's looking at. And I think that's what we always should look at, get the best person in the best spot. So no, Tim, I don't think you think we're racist. I just think you thought we made some mistakes, but we're working on them. Dan, was you up next?
I'm good.
Anybody else?
You want to try Dorothy again?
Dorothy, you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Did you want to speak or?
Well, I'm not going to speak now. I'll speak on the board floor because what I'm hearing, I'm not agreeing with you guys.
Okay.
I can say this. I would leave them all on the table. I wouldn't take any of them off. Why are you separating them? Why are you trying to separate them?
Because first of all, why I'm separating is because first I look at it as, in one case, the board that they're going to, the mayor is very concerned to get that person in training and going.
That training happens.
Dorothy, I know your answer back about it. I'm just telling you why I'm looking at it that way.
Well, he will have to wait as far as I'm concerned. I saw him on Saturday and I should have spoken to him, but he was surrounded by people. So,
Yeah.
and I didn't have a lot of time, but he can wait. That person can wait. I would say leave them all on the table and let the next chairman decide.
Well, and that, you know what? And I'm going to say, if that's what you want to, the way you want to vote, then vote that way.
That's what I would do.
No, I appreciate that. I don't know that my answer is, and Bert's answer is the best answer, but it's the one that I'm looking at, and I think is probably the best. But that's just me. Dan?
Yeah, we're in the 9th hour. If he hasn't done anything in all this time, the airport board has to stir up the pot. He should leave it alone.
Yeah. Dan, go ahead, Dan.
I got two questions. Dorothy, I'm just kind of curious why we feel the need to wait for the next chairman to do this when we might have 4 good people right now. Why does who the chairman is matter? And I guess that's the first question. Then Bert, I mean, do you care? I mean, how do you feel about these 4? I mean, if we're going to wait for the next chairman, might as well just have Bert tell us what he wants us to do.
Right.
He'll make the nomination anyway.
We could bring him back and talk to the new chair, tell him this is who Haney had recommended. Let him bring it back and do it the right way.
I just don't understand what my question to you is, what does waiting serve?
Well, Haney, for one thing, is in his last hour, his 9th hour. If he hasn't done anything in all of this time, all of a sudden he wants to say, I've done this and this and this. Why didn't he do it before?
The question is, why does it matter?
He wants to leave a legacy saying, I put this person here, I put this one there, and making us look bad, and he didn't do it the proper way. He should have followed protocol, and he didn't do that. I want to say he's a bully, and as a kid, he probably was a bully, and now he's bullying us. I don't like to be bullied.
And I have to go along with Dorothy.
And I agree with you too on the bullying part, but that doesn't mean some of the nominees aren't good people and could help the board. So I think we have to have the ability to look at their resumes, and I had to go pick them up. Again, Mr. Haney, I asked him to put him in my basket. He apparently didn't, but luckily I was able to find one of his helpers who did find the resumes, and I got a chance to look at it for the first time. So there are some good people in that group, maybe all of them.
All of them
We
are
have
good
to
people.
make some decisions, and I don't know that laying it over for the next chair, maybe those good people won't be around for the next chair.
Well,
Well-
maybe they will. You know, where are they going?
Away. It's only a few months away.
That's
It's all
right.
it is.
Well, you know what? Here's what I look at it. We can discuss this more, and we can have conversations, but ultimately we all have to vote what we think. And however you guys vote, believe me, there'll be nothing personal for me, because I'm going to vote the way I want to vote, and I expect you guys to do it also. Bert, go ahead.
Yep, just one suggestion as far as legislation goes, or changing this ordinance so that we don't run into this in the future. And we adopt what city council does, and that is an automatic 30-day layover on any appointment. So once the appointment is made, it lays over automatically for 30 days unless the board votes to suspend the rules, just like any other appointment. But instead of a 1-week layover, these appointments would be a 30-day layover. Unless if, let's say the board, you know, if someone's leaving, we need to put someone in place and we can suspend the rules and move on this. But if we have a 30-day layover, I think that gives plenty of time for the people, the appointees to come in, speak with the caucuses. I think it's vital that we know who we are appointing to boards, and we have been chastised by the Register Star for being yes men for elected officials and not doing our homework and our due diligence. So as soon as we want to do our homework and due diligence, all of a sudden we're the bad people and that we should just move and act on this. And some of the times these people are great choices and there's really not much discussion or argument. But in certain cases, I think people want time and they want to know who we're appointing to the boards. And I think it's imperative that we know who we're appointing to the board. Dr. Reverend Williams has just been ousted by his congregation through the courts. So I don't know if his congregation, if the church folks don't want him around, is that really a great position or a great person to put on the county crime commission? So I think, you know, we definitely should do our homework before we appoint people. So just a suggestion that we have an automatic 30-day layover on appointments.
I think it's a great idea.
I agree. Great
The
idea.
personnel policy people, if you can make that happen, that'd be great.
I'm going to say this: if these people, if the people are this concerned about who we put on the boards, they obviously are taking it very serious. And if they are, we should be, and we should be looking at the resumes and matching them up to what they're going to do on whatever committee and make sure they fit there. So that's what I've been doing since I got my hands on the resumes. And if you guys haven't seen the resumes, I would suggest you get a copy, see me, whatever. I'll try to get you a copy.
Wait,
But
wait.
we really need to look
Why
at
do
them resumes.
you, Joe? I haven't seen them. Were they emailed to us?
I guess they were, but I didn't get them on my phone. So I called the chairman, asked him to please put a copy of them in our baskets or mailboxes downtown, and we stopped by and pick them up. I went down there. They weren't there like he said he would, but I was lucky enough that one of his aides were down there and they ran off copies for me, and I would suggest that you call them and have them run off copies for you. It's a lot simpler to work with than your phone. You can write on, mark them up, do whatever you want, really get into them. So I would suggest you do that as soon as possible.
May I interrupt one more time?
Yes.
I still want it laid. I want it tabled because when we get a new chairman, I want a whole new fresh start. I want to leave this stuff behind us. And if he wants to appoint those very same people, then so be it. But in the meantime, I still want it tabled until the new chairman comes in, whoever it would be, and I'm sure it's going to be Bert. And Bert had a good idea of two people on there and how he would kind of move that around. I want to give him the opportunity then to pick the people who belong on those committees. Our chairman has waited 2 or 3 years for. Why hasn't he done it prior to this? Why all of a sudden, when he knew those terms were up 2 years ago? And now all of a sudden he wants to rush in and do it.
Angie, you know why he did it.
Committee,
You know
all
why
those
he did it.
very
This is
each
called sour grapes. You know why he did it.
No,
Guys,
we-
this isn't going anywhere. I think we're all in agreement that this.
we have to have discussion on our caucuses. We can't discuss it outside. It has to be in a caucus. If I start calling Dorothy and she starts calling so-and-so, then we got another problem. If we can't discuss these things at a caucus, then what good are we? I appreciate Tim giving us his opinion and his feelings. And I wouldn't get that if I wasn't at caucus and him doing this.
that's true.
Angie, I think all that is correct. But here's the thing, we have discussed it quite a bit. And again, I'm saying to you, everybody on this caucus, believe me, not that I could hold anybody to account how they voted, because I would never do that if I could. But I'm saying you have to vote your conscience. You have to vote what you believe. And I'm not completely sure how I'm going to vote, but I am looking at some things and trying to get something done if possible. And that's what I'm working with Bert and whoever else wants to get in this discussion. Everybody also feel free. You vote whatever you want to vote. That's all I can say. There's no, but I'm not trying to bully anybody into kind of a vote. And I don't want Bert to bully anybody into vote, but we at least are trying to come up with some kind of plan and see if it works. If we don't, we don't.
We have a plan already. And that plan was to lay it on the table. So why are we fooling around with the plan?
And again, Dorothy, I'm going to repeat. You can vote however you want. It got laid on the table, but that doesn't mean it has to stay there. That was done until we could get to myself. I'm looking for resumes. I was looking for information. All I was given was names. So I followed through and got what I needed. Tim, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to rebuttal to Dorothy's comment that we had a plan and the plan was to lay it on the table. That was never my plan. So to say we had a plan and the plan was to keep it on the table, I just want to just let y'all know that wasn't part of my plan. So
I shouldn't have said it. I misquoted it. Most of the people had a plan. And there were 3 people that did not, and 1 skipped out on the vote. So I don't know what the plan is next.
Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know where this plan came from. I mean, I got Republicans telling me there was a plan, but I hadn't seen no Democrat plan. I got Eli Nicolosi calling me saying the plan is to lay it on the table, which makes me, when the head of the Republican Party in Winnebago County is telling me what the plan is, that means the Republicans are creating a plan and not the Democrats.
Your plan is what you did. That's
I voted the way I did because the chairman made a boneheaded decision and a boneheaded mistake. I happen to think that these are probably some very qualified people, and I'll work with anyone who wants to figure out how to get them off the table and onto these boards, especially to get some of the racists off the boards that are already there.
And quite honestly, I mentioned laying it on the table or laying it over or waiting for a new chairman. That were the 3 issues I had because if you guys remember right, we weren't told it was going to be laid over automatically. So I thought we were voting on it that night, and I certainly wasn't ready to vote on it that night. So anybody else?
If you remember, I'm the one that said to table it.
Yeah. Well,
So where did that plan come from, Dan?
I don't know, but I'm kind of sick of the Republicans dictating Democrat strategy.
No, I think it's the way that the majority of us felt. Tim voted the way he wanted to because that's the way he felt and that's his right. And you voted the way you wanted to because that's your right. I'll say it one more time and that's it. I'm going to get offline. But I still say our new chairman can also look at all those nominees, and if they are what he wants, and he very well might be happy to see some good nominees right in front of him, that we have a couple on there that are good nominees, but they might be on the wrong committees. And that new chairman, Bert, is going to be able to do that. I would still continue to leave it the way it is right now. And every one of those committees is very diversified. Go back and take a look at who's on those committees. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Unless you guys
Good
have
night, Andy.
something.
All right. I'm gonna wrap it up. Everybody vote, everybody, you do this the way they want to, and that's the way it is. No criticism from anybody as far as I'm concerned. Everybody has to vote their own conscience.
Yeah.
So, does anybody have anything else? Can I have give me a hand? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Are we done?
Seconded.
Any more discussion?
Joe's internet's going, Joe, your internet's going down. Hurry
That
up.
was a peace sign.
And all in favor? Huh?
Tim seconded.
That
All
said,
those
that was
in
a peace
favor?
sign.
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
All
right.
say aye.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, call me.
All right.